Ladies and gentlemen, that in a nutshell, unless you have any questions which I can take afterwards, on the key provisions of the Constitutional Republic of Fiji. As I mentioned earlier on, that we would like to see. I've lost I had a wonderful quotation which I misplaced. Probably one of my favorite modern day thinkers and philosophers is a gentleman who no longer is with us. He died of cancer, a guy called Aiyaz Sayed. He was an academic from Columbia University who had led an amazing life. And he gave a series of lectures, the Wreath Lectures as it's known, and on BBC. And the series was called Representations of an Intellectual. And Edward talked about the need for the repositioning of the intellectual in the modern day society. And he tried to draw a distinction and said that the new intellectual must best serve society in light of the heavily compromised media and of special interest groups who are protected at the cost of large community interests. Effectively, what he was saying, that we must always, in carrying out any analysis or critical analysis, of whether it's anything in society, whether it's your financial statement, whether it's the economy, whether it's the state of your human resources, you must take an independent position and stand aside and stand away from the situation to be able to make a very constructive and meaningful analysis. Too many times we forget that we may in fact be part and parcel of that particular group or that particular aspect that we are trying to analyze. And it brings me to my earlier point that I made earlier this morning about how there is a need to provide that intellectual and independent analysis and assessment of what is happening in our society. Too many times we carried away, and unfortunately for us, the politics of it all. We see now, for example, journalists who have a complete inability to be able to analyze what a politician may have said 5 years ago and what they're saying today is completely contradictory. Completely contradictory to what they said 5 years ago. But the journalist does not have the ability to actually say to that person, but you said this 5 years ago, why are you changing your position now? There is an absence, for example, in our written and print media of any opinion columns that are in fact put by journalists. There's none if you look at it. There may be a feature piece where they go and discovered some pottery somewhere, or discovered some new marine life. They'll write on that. There has been absolutely no analysis, for example, of the travel bans that have been put on Fiji and individuals like you. There are many of you in the rooms that I have approached, we have approached to sit on boards. But you do not sit on those boards because of the travel bans. Has anybody ever done an analysis whether there were travel bans following the events of '87, following the events of 2000, and then following the events of 2006? Why is there a travel ban when it wasn't there previously? Very simple things like that. In the same way that I mentioned earlier on, it is hoped that you would be able to have that level of confidence to be able to sit critically, not depending on your cultural background, your ethnic background, your religious background, or which province you come from, or which school you went to, but as a professional, to carry out an independent analysis, for example, of the financials that a political party may put forward, or the financials of any company that is under public scrutiny. We would love to see that in the public media. There's none whatsoever. There's absolutely no analysis of the very revolutionary work, for example, that's been carried out regarding telecommunications in Fiji, reallocation of spectrum. And it would be very, very, I think, constructive to be able to have that environment where, as accountants, as engineers, as lawyers, as doctors, we are able to provide that intellectual input and have that throughput in that public space. So at the end of the day, all Fijians become well informed. We are able to make constructive decisions, not just as individuals, as family members, as wives, husbands, brothers, sisters, but also as a community and as a country. And that, ladies and gentlemen, really would be the way forward for a modern and constructive Fiji. A few other things to say, but I've got past 10 o'clock. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope the Constitution was not too boring, and I wish you a very good morning. Vinaka, thank you.